Survive without any more miracles and start rolling solo. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rolling Solo and Solo Daggerheart actual play streaming show. This is the stream. I'm Paul. We're going to play some Daggerheart today. Let's get started. So in our last episodes, we are playing. We're in the Colossus of the Drylands campaign frame. So our heroes, Terrace and Dusog and Aribia, are riding across the landscape of the Drylands, this vast desert, a very southwestern kind of land of mesas and scrub, fighting and hunting for colossuses or colossi. And in doing so, they were themselves defeated by a colossus known as Le Pardieu, the Rapids, a leopard made of a river and some rocks. It looked pretty cool. I don't think we still have a picture of it. We do not. And so they were brought down by this colossus, and that's when our third character, Terrace, entered the scene and was able, using a combination of her ancestral abilities and her class abilities, to defeat the Colossus and rescue our characters. They decided after a time that they were going to have return to Wyland's Gulch to get paid, and because they are doing this for bounty. And when they did so, Terrace decided to tag along in order to get paid as well. So this would put us in the kind of interlude section of the campaign, as opposed to the hunt section of a Colossus of the Drylands campaign. And that's where we are. And we will open, however, not in this interlude, but in a small town. And town is perhaps a too generous a term. This is not a town so much as it is a collection of shacks that miners might sleep in, and a bunch of tracks leading into an Essentia mine. And people are, typically would be mining this place in shifts and even sleeping in shifts in the shacks. And so this is kind of a company town where some individual or group of individuals or company has put miners to work to extract the essentia from the ground, to be processed for later magical use. We see there is a light that begins to glow within the mine. And as it does, we see miners come rushing out of the mine as this light glows behind them and this wind comes through, as if the earth is exhaling or blowing outward, and then slowly coming in, building up to a howl that we hear out of the mouth of the cave as this wind continues to blow. Miners continue to run. As they run into their town, it's nighttime. The moon is shining down on this collection of shacks and shanties and rail, and this wind rushes out of the mouth of the mine and whips itself into a frenzy, picking up dust and turning into, slowly building into a cyclone that builds from the ground up, as opposed to how a normal cyclone would build from the clouds down. This one is building from the ground and upward, and it is slowly, as it hits the center of town, beginning to suck all of the mining equipment, all of the shanties, the tracks of the rail that run down into the mine. It's sucking all of this stuff into it. We continue to hear this howling sound, and we can see people being flung away or being impaled by pieces of wood that are being whipped around in circles as the miners attempt to flee this area out into the desert. And eventually there stands, where the town once stood, a gigantic wolf made of all of the parts of this town that came together to kind of form its body and its head, and all of the destroyed material. And it glows from within and puts its head up and howls. And then, so if I were running a campaign with other players, I would say, but you're not aware of that because you are sitting in a bar in Wyland's Gulch. And I think it's Wyland's Gulch. Let me find my map. I actually have the map. Yeah, Wyland's Gulch. And so we're not aware of that. We're sitting in a tavern in Wyland's Gulch. And Aribia and Dusog are trying to make a decision. And the question that they have is, what are they going to do with this Terrace individual? They've met here in this saloon in the busy town of Wyland's Gulch. Although one thing that you will notice about the town of Wyland's Gulch as you walk in is that the main street of the town is cracked down the center as if a large earthquake had occurred here. But the townspeople seem to be dealing with this remarkably well and adapting without much trouble. And, working on either side of the main street, and if they have to cross, finding, there's wood bridges across this chasm, and people seem to have taken this in stride and been rebuilding. So that's going on outside. Inside, our characters have met up for a beer and a conversation. And the question is, are they going to allow Terrace to be a part of the team? And I think this is a pretty straightforward question. And Dusog will point out, we don't know if she even wants to be a part of our team. Well, she certainly seemed to be interested in the money. And that's a true statement, and Dusog will, think about that for a moment. He's not much of a talker, Dusog. And he says, well, he remains quiet, and Arabia also, will bring up that it is also true that she saved our asses out there, and is clearly a competent person who we would be lucky to have. Speaking of having our asses saved, or I just wanted to, never mind. Dusog wants to ask about the why would Arabia save his life at the risk of her own, but he's not really able to bring himself to do so in this moment, and instead we'll, never mind. Let's make the offer, but we need to be quiet about who we are working for, and not bring up. Yes, we shouldn't bring up the organization. I know that. And we will cut from that scene in our comfort zone. To later, they will, be looking for Terrace. And I think, Arabia will be the one to kind of put the question to Terrace and say, do you want to be a part of our team? And, you were very helpful out there, and, we are continuing to rid the land of this scourge of colossuses and colossi. I don't know. And we were hoping you would be able to join us on our hunt, at least for a little while. And Arabia asked this, and the question is, what does Terrace do? We could leave it up to the dice, but I don't want to leave it up to the dice because I want 3 characters, because it's really hard to balance a Colossus for just 2. And I'm also planning on running this for 3 characters later for some friends of mine, so I need to balance up some Colossi, so I need 3 characters. So she will decide to go along with them because the plot requires it. Say, as long as the money is still good, I guess I'll stay with y'all. And she will come along. So, unfortunately, this means that one of us has to be manning the telegraph office, or at least reachable by the boy at the telegraph office at all times. And the reason for that is, of course, that the telegraph is the only way that information gets about in this area. The telegraph isn't canon. I just added it because I like it. And it's clearly Essentia driven. It's sort of a more magical than electricity. Is the the form of the energy that comes along the line. So this is a magic telegraph, and so the next thing that happens is they are hanging out in one of their hangout spots. Perhaps Dusog and Terrace are sitting and having a, breakfast at, one of the many fine and utterly too expensive eateries in Wyland's Gulch. Having, their supplies are packed and ready. They're ready at a moment's notice to go, which is good because Aribia comes in and tells them that that a colossus has been spotted far out, somewhere in the neighborhood of Owlhead, which is some day's ride to the west. And that in order to get there, they should be riding out and heading out into the distance. So they do. So that has us officially in the hunt section of the campaign. So they are hunting this colossus. So for that, let's just see what happens. I will propose that this being several days' ride, I will propose that we're simply riding across and making our hunt. And that's the scene beat, is just riding. There were some rests off screen. I got a lot of fear. So let's propose that beat and see what happens according to our survival oracle. Reflect a world or game element. So we'll reflect a world element. We will have them riding into a town to water their horses and, just essentially they come upon this kind of mining area. They stop for information. They ask whether anybody has seen the Colossus, which... let's just hope and fear that thing. Has anyone seen a Colossus? Or heard of this large-scale destruction? Let's see. All right, let's just roll. Here we go. All right. That's cocked. All right, so that's a 12 with fear. So no one has seen the Colossus at this time. So given that, they, however, have flashed some money around. So they're asking about this information, and so that's another plot moment. So let's see what happens as a result of that. Two, play a triggering plot catalyst. Okay. Let's see. Catalyst 6, temptation with a curiosity. What would tempt our characters at this moment? What kind of a curiosity would tempt them? They are told that there is that there might be tracks of a colossus. A man walks up to them and gives them this information. I will give... And this is what they... So they've been asking around. They haven't found anything. But now somebody walks up to them and tells them that they have seen some kind of a colossus. Some trace of some large creature, they don't know what. Huge disturbances in the ground. They should really go and check it out. Who is my face? Who has the best presence? All three of these guys have a presence of 0. All three of them. Okay, so... I'll say it's Aribia as the face, just by... you know... And therefore, she will make the instinct roll to see if she picks up on the fact that this guy might be giving her the runaround. So that's a 12 plus 0. The difficulty on that was 15. She does not. So the three of them begin to ride outward. And they ride probably along this, so they ride out of town. They follow the directions that they're given. They find themselves a little turned around and kind of like in this, they find themselves kind of approaching this box canyon, which I'm going to give them some opportunity as they come towards this to... I'm going to see if they notice something. So DC on this is going to be a 14. They're going to be rolling with disadvantage. And this is Aribia's instinct roll. That's not a fear dice. Shoot. Okay. So before they enter the canyon, even with disadvantage, and this was an action roll, so this is a reaction roll. So even with disadvantage, Aribia, scanning the horizon, sees the telltale glint of the sun against metal and realizes that the place that they have been led to is actually meant to be a place where they will be ambushed. And so, as they get within range of these bandits, she will hold up her hand and she will... Now, I've been kind of glossing over the way that magic works in this, universe. The way that magic works in this campaign frame is that all magic comes from essentia, which is this crystals that are mined from the ground. In Aribia's case, the essentia is kept in sort of in the inlay of her rifle, in the inlay of the stock is kind of laid in with this kind of crystal, and you can see how some of it kind of has a small faint glow to it, and some of it seems to have been tapped out. This is kind of the source of, and she also has, what we would think of as, what she has is a pendant around her neck that also has kind of it's just a ball of silver in which some crushed essentia is kept. She will make a spellcast roll. Difficulty 13. I believe her spellcasting modifier is agility. So this is +3. So that's an 18 with fear. I get a fear. But she will successfully cast Veil of Night. So she creates a temporary curtain of darkness between her and her allies and the bandit outpost. So she is on the other side of this outpost, but we rolled with fear, so initiative goes back to the bandit leader. The bandit leader is going to, being at far range, and a little disappointed in how this has gone down, he will mark a stress to activate both of his two standard bandits to fire at, and he will growl from his post on the edge of this box canyon that our heroes were about to ride into, but have now not riding into, and are, at the edge of it, looking down, and have spotted his position. So from this edge, he will, growl, target the spellcaster, whom they cannot see. And so let's see if they can make this hit with disadvantage. That's a 2. +3, that will not hit for the first bandit. And that's a 3 plus stuff for the second bandit. That will not hit. That's the bandit leader's action. He's activated the two bandits. There is a bruiser, but he is here to protect the leader and will stick by his side. So I will not bother spending a fear to activate him as of yet. So play is going to return to the players. Aribia is going to move over to Dusog. She is going to touch him. Actually, she doesn't have to. She is just going to reach out towards him and conjure a gust of wind that will transport him from where he's at to this position to the bandit's position. So that is her turn, and she will mark a stress to do that. That will bring us to, I think that's going to be her total turn. That will bring us to Dusog. He will take his action is now that he is with the bandits, he is going to immediately make an attack at the Dryland Bandit Bruiser. He sees this big guy. So what are we looking at here? This bandit is an orcish gentleman. His bruiser is a giant. There's this giant who, now that they can see the kind of, everyone is sort of at the edge looking over these rocks. When Dusog is transported back, he realizes that behind these rocks there's this giant standing there, with his own fists wrapped and not wearing any armor. He kind of grins and he sees Dusog, realizing that this is going to be a fight of his kind. Dusog will spend a hope on stings like a bee, and he will yeah, he's a juggernaut, that's a brawler subclass that just punches things. So he's just gonna punch things. He's +6. Well, we get our hope back, but we will not hit this guy even with +6. That is unfortunate. That's a miss. That brings us to the Dryland Bandit Bruiser, who will immediately retaliate. He will also miss. So Dusog comes up, throws a punch, locks into this guy, and makes good contact, but it doesn't seem to have any effect. And this guy, this bruiser, this giant, roars and takes a swing, and just Dusog, just ducks and weaves and bobs out of the way, and the two of them are facing off. Dusog, with his kind of stone-ish, earthen elemental form, with this wind that's constantly moving around him, manages to sort of shift in the wind and get out of the way. I will activate the bandit leader. The bandit leader is going to take a pistol shot at Dusog since he's standing there. That is a 5 plus 5 is 10. He misses. This bandit leader, this orcish guy in his dark black duster and wearing a cowboy hat, pulls his revolver and takes a shot and just simply misses. And I will activate both Dryland Bandits. They will continue to shoot at Arivia on the other side of the no, I think they, seeing that something is happening behind them, will both attack Dusog. So Bandit 1 will obviously miss. Bandit 2. 7 plus 3 is 10. Dusog's evasion is 13. So, wow. This is going very poorly for our bandits. They are not able to make any kind of contact. Of course, neither was Dusog. That brings us back to the players. Arivia will mark another stress. And she will again, conjure another gust of wind. And this will send Terrace into this point within far range. Terrace, arriving on the scene, will mark a stress. To take on a beast form. And the beast form that she will drop into will be a tier 2 beast form. I think we're tier 2 now, right? We're level 3. Level 3 is tier 2. Pouncing Predator. Yes. So we'll take a Pouncing Predator, taking the form of a lion that, you know, as she is gusted up to the top of this outcropping where these two bandits with their rifles are now turned around and facing Dusog. Behind them, this lion appears and immediately leaps upon the bandit leader. So this is an instinct of +1. She already has an instinct of... the Pouncing Predator gains advantage on attack. So this is on an attack. Okay, that's again with fear. But it will definitely hit. So... Pouncing Predator will do 2d8s plus 6 damage. D8, D8. Ooh, good roll. 8 and 7, 15 plus 8 is 23. 23 damage to the bandit leader. So the bandit leader will take 23 damage. That is for them. Where to hide my bandit? There they are. The bandit leader, that is major damage. So they take 2 hit points of damage as this lion is crawling upon them. Unfortunately, that means that with a miss, it is back to the bandit leader, who now facing a lion directly in front of him will attempt to shoot the lion. That's an 8 plus 5 is 13. Which is exactly her evasion. So that's exactly Terrace's evasion. That means that she will take damage. The pistols do 2d10 plus 2. 1d10. Where's my other d10? Alright, here's one. 5 and 5, that's 10, plus 2 is 12. 12 points of damage to Terrace is major damage. She will mark an armor slot and a hit point. We will spend a fear to activate the Bandit Bruiser, who will again take a swing at Dusog. That's a 17. That will hit. So the Bruiser with a 17 plus 2, 19, comes in and manages to clip Dusog. Or... I believe he's 2d12 plus 3. So there's a d12, there's a d12. That is 5 and 8 is 13 plus 3 is 16. On Dusog, that is major damage. He will mark an armor slot and a hit point. So far, our orcish leader has fired at close range his revolver and struck this lion. Dusog has taken a heavy blow from the brawler that he is facing. This giant takes this swing. And again, our bandits' turn. And they will... Oh, I gain a fear when the bandit leader makes a successful attack, which he did. But I will spend 2 fear. The Dryland Bandits, one of them is going to take a shot at Dusog. That will miss. One of them is going to take a shot at Terrace. That will hit. These do 2d8 plus 1 damage. That's a d8. That's a d8. So it's 6, 7 damage. That is minor damage. Terrace will mark an armor. And take no damage. That's all of our adversaries have been activated. We come back around to Aribia. Aribia is on the other side of this magical darkness. She has advantage on attacks she makes through the darkness. So she will take an attack. With advantage. At one of the bandits. Okay. So that hits for sure. That hits one of the rifle-wielding bandits as they have turned and are looking the other direction. They did not bother to hide themselves from her position. She knew where they were. So that is her attack. Aribia's weapon does 2d8 plus 5. So that's 4 plus 5 is 9. Bandit number 1 takes 9 damage, which is major damage for him. And play remains with the players. We'll start with Terrace, who in lion form gets advantage on attacks and will attack the bandit captain with her claws. Okay, so that's 18, 19, 20. That will definitely hit, and that's with Hope. So she'll take that Hope. She will deal 2d8 plus 6 damage. I think those are 2 7s. Yeah, that's a 7. That's a 7. That's 14 plus 6 is 20 damage to the bandit captain, which for him is major damage. And that was a roll with Hope, but I got a bucket full of fear, so I'm going to spend a fear to take the attack back, and I'm going to have the bandit leader make his attack on Terrace with his pistol. He will miss. I will spend another fear to activate the Bruiser. That will hit. So the bandit captain is kind of shooting wildly as this, lion is savaging him. And meanwhile, this bruiser is facing off and seems feeling pretty confident as he again does his 2d12 of damage. As a 1. So that's a 3 and a 1. That's 4 plus 3 is 7 damage. So the Dryland Bruiser does 7 damage to Dusog. That's minor damage. Dusog will mark an armor. So he takes the blow, just absorbs it onto his, onto his arms, and prevents, the blow from getting into, what would have been this huge headshot. He just absorbs it on his arms and ignores it. Meanwhile, our two riflemen will also both attack. They will, however, both attempt to shoot at Aribia because they now realize they're being shot at from behind. So one of them is going to shoot. And miss. He has disadvantage through this cover. The other one is going to attempt to hide. And so he attempts to hide. Aribia is just going to make a reaction roll to see if the hiding is successful. So I think this is again going to be an instinct roll. This is +0. So bandit number 2 takes an action to become hidden. So I'll make a note of that. They are currently hidden. And that will come into play on the next round. So now we are back to the players, because I'm out of bad guys to activate. The bandit that did not hide, Aribia still has advantage on that shot. She will take a shot. Alright, so that's 9, that's 12, that's 13, plus agility, which is 3, so that's 16 with hope. That will hit. And we get a hope. So mark that down. And she will roll damage, which is... I think it's 2d8s, right? Yeah, it's d8s plus 5. Ooh, good damage. 13 plus 5 is 18. That is severe damage, and this bandit is just headshot. So there's this wall of darkness, and Aribia is just calmly, has dismounted and is just calmly standing, quite out in the open and leveling her rifle across the distance and taking, careful aim. Squeezes off a shot. Sees the bandit's head kind of disappear and grins to herself. And that was with hope. So, unless, I'm going to give Dusog one go. He hasn't taken a swing in a while. He's going up against this bruiser. I'm going to spend another hope on Stings Like a V to get +6 on this roll. Come on. Okay, we get our hope back. And that's a 20 to hit. That will hit. So on a 20 to hit, Dusog does 2d10. Here's a d10. Here's a d10. Here's a d6. Here's a d6. He does 2d10 plus 2d6 damage. So that is 8, 18, 20, 24. 24 damage, which is major for the Bandit Bruiser. The Bruiser will take another shot. So Dusog manages to kind of swing in from the side and get a nice little liver shot in on this giant. He can't reach his head, but he can work the body. So he starts working the body of this guy and trying to bring him down. That was with hope, but I'm going to interrupt with fear. And then I'm going to activate the Dryland Bandit Bruiser to retaliate. Oh, wait. He just marked 2 hit points. Give me my fear back. He counterpunches. That's one of his. That's his ability. So he counterpunches and lands his counterpunch against Dusog. And he does 2d6 plus 12 damage. So that's 10 plus 12, 22 damage, which is going to be major damage for Dusog. Yeah, it's going to be major damage for Dusog. Dusog will mark an armor, take a hit point. Starting to look a little worn down, Dusog is. And the giant will press his advantage. I will interrupt. Now I will spend a fear to activate, to interrupt. I think I only need to spend 1 fear to interrupt and activate. So I will interrupt and activate my Bandit Bruiser, who after counterpunching will punch again. He will hit again. This time he will roll 2d12s. As 12 plus 3, that's 15 on Dusog, who will again, what did I say that was? That's 9, 12, 15. That is major damage. He takes most of the blow on his arm, but he's unable to keep it completely there. Spend another fear. The Bandit Captain will make his attack on Terrace. And this is with his pistol. That will miss. Our hidden Dryland Bandit, who has advantage on attacks if hidden, so he is now shooting at Aribia, but he is hidden for this shot. And that 11 plus 3 for 14 will hit. He will do 2d8 plus 1 damage. So that's 7 plus 1 is 8 on Aribia. Which will be minor damage. She will mark an armor to take no damage. But this guy clearly has a shot at her. However, having made an attack, this rifleman or rifle person, rifle halfling, is no longer hidden, which means that Aribia can return fire with advantage through the through the through the veil of night that she has created. It's 8. That's 11. Plus 3. I think. Yes, plus 3 is 14. 14 just hits. So Arabia will take a hope. She will peg this guy for 2d8 plus 5. That's 8 plus 5 is 13. That is major damage to the bandit. Dusog doesn't learn lessons very well. He's going to try to punch this guy again. He's going to burn his last hope on Stings Like a Bee to make this a +6 roll. (13, 16, 22 with fear. So 2d12s and 2d6s. D12, D12, D6, D6. For 11, 14, 20, 28 damage. 28 damage will actually be the bruiser's severe threshold. So they'll mark 3 hit points. And it will counterattack. And it will hit. So, again, he makes that, he gets that digging liver punch in again, but, as soon as he does, that counterpunch comes across the face and smacks him for 2d6 plus 12 damage. So where are my d6s? Here's 2d6s. That's 18 damage to Dusog. That is major damage. Mark an armor. Take a damage. And then it is the... That was a roll with fear. So the bruiser is going to swing again. Eight. Plus 2 is 10. Dusog's evasion is 13. The brawler misses as Dusog ducks out of the way of one of its punches. Let's spend a fear on the Dryland Bandit leader, who will take a pistol shot at Terrace. And will hit. Doing 2d10 plus 2 damage. Let's see, what do we got here? 2d10, that's 10. Plus 2, that's 12. So that's 12 damage to Terrace. That will be major damage. She will mark an armor, mark a hit point. As the lion kind of gets shot, and it seems to be a graze that does not really connect. And finally, our Dryland Bandit is going to hide. And we'll see if Aribia's action roll... He's trying to hide from Aribia, so we'll see if Aribia can make an instinct reaction roll to spot him. She cannot. So they are hidden, and that is their action for the turn. That's all of the adversaries have been activated. We're going to start with Aribia, who is going to spend a hope on Sniper. She has advantage to shoot through the Wall of Night. But she has disadvantage because the bandit is hidden, so this is just going to be a straight attack roll. Plus 6. Trying to beat a 14. That is 6, 8, 14 with fear. She does 2d8 plus 5 damage. That's 6 plus 5 is 11. And 11 is above the bandit's minor threshold. So that bandit, even though they're hidden, they're crouched behind a rock, taking aim, and a bullet just comes through and punches through their neck. And this particular, again, we said halfling, goes down with their rifle. However, we rolled with fear. That puts the fight back in the hands of the bruiser, who's been having good luck, so we'll roll for him again. That is bad luck. The bruiser again takes a swing, and again, Dusog manages to duck out of the way. Spend a fear for the bandit leader to shoot at Terrace. That is a 14. That will hit. 14 plus stuff definitely hits, doing the 2d10 plus 2 damage. That's 9. Plus 2 is 11. That is minor damage. I think Terrace is just going to burn an armor slot. And that brings us back to our players. Terrace hasn't done much in a while. The lion will attempt to savage this guy. Terrace has advantage on attack rolls in her pouncing predator form. And does not need it. That is a critical success. So, critical success. Clear a stress. Gain a hope. Do max damage, which in this case is 2d8, so that's 16. 16 plus 6, and then we roll 2d8 on top of that. So this is 22 plus whatever we roll here. 4. So that's 26 damage on that attack. That will be a severe attack on the bandit leader. But they are barely holding on. But holding on they are, and this orc maintains their upright status despite being, in the clutches of a desert lion. That was a roll with, that was a critical success. So play goes to Dusog, who will attempt again to punch this guy. Has no hope to spend, so this is just going to be a straight attack. +3. $12. Well, I gain a fear. 12 plus 3 is 15. Which is, I believe, that is the bruiser's difficulty, is 15. So we will roll 2d10 plus 2d6 damage. 2d10, 2d6. 4, 3 is 7, and 3 is 10, and 4 is 14. 14 just meets the bruiser's major threshold. He will take 2 damage and drop to the ground, unable to continue fighting. That will do it for the Dryland Bruiser. The bandit leader is still trying to get this lion off of him. Fails spectacularly. So that leaves us with Terrace. We'll go back to Terrace attempting to attack this lion. Or this lion attempting to attack. She gets advantage on attacks in her beast form. That's 14, 16 plus stuff. The bandit's difficulty is 15. Let's roll damage. It's 2d8 plus 5, I think. (2d8 plus 6). So that's 5 plus 6 is 11. It does 1 damage. The bandit leader remains on their feet. I'm going to spend a fear to interrupt. And have him shoot again. Miss again. It's 8. That's 12. That's 13. That is a miss. Bandit keeps the lion's claws off of him with one hand as the lion is straddling his form as he's on the ground, rolling around, trying to fire his pistol wildly into the beast. Strikes the beast. I forgot to take a fear last time. Okay. And does 2d10 plus 2. Uh, 15 plus 2 is 17. For Terrace, that is major damage. She will mark an armor. And take a hit point. And attack. That is 12, 16, 21. That'll hit. And this guy has 1 hit point left, so he goes down as the lion's jaws crush his skull with a satisfying crunch. And our heroes, although they have been misdirected into an ambush, will survive that ambush. So let's hold it here. We're at an hour, a little bit over an hour. And thank you for watching. If you would like a t-shirt by any chance, you can always get one at Solid Soft Design. This is one of the t-shirts. I realize that it is here. Here's the t-shirt. There's the shop. If you want one, get one. If you don't, I guess you probably won't. And other than that, y'all keep rolling.